Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a couple of days. I am glad to be back and grateful that you guys are joining me today to talk about Madeline Soto case. This is a case that has broken all of our hearts. It is one where we had, or at least I had, deeply hoped that a missing girl would be found, but it seemed fishy from the very beginning, and unfortunately, uh, our fears were confirmed when Madeline Soto's body was discovered not too terribly far from her home in Kissimmee, Florida. It was in St. Cloud, a neighboring area. As you guys know, her mother's boyfriend, a man named Stephan Stearns, has been arrested and charged in her murder, along with 60 other charges related to abuses that he inflicted upon her, piled upon her for 5 years of her short 13-year life. And questions have been swirling around her mother, Jen Soto, to wondering, and I've been one of these people that has been wondering, is she part of this? And I have to say, my suspicions right now are that, yeah, she is a part of this. And let me just, sorry, I need to let my coworkers know that I'm doing this. Anyway, the suspicions have been swirling around her. I have been suspicious of her. And because of the doc dump that happened, what was that, last week, we've been slowly going through the 896 pages that were released in Maddie's case by the Ninth District State's Attorney's Office there in Florida. You guys know, if you've been around me for any length of time, that I organized those files and separated them out into more than one PDF, and I've put them on my website, gavinfish.com. There's a link in the description below that you can go to get to this page. You can see there's just so much to go through, and those files can all be seen by my patrons. Thank you very much to my Patreon supporters who make it possible for me to spend the time to organize and post those photos and to be able to afford the website to do so. I greatly appreciate that. And then here on YouTube, I go through some of the files. And so that's what we're going to do today. Before we jump in, I just want to give one little housekeeping thing, that you can always get my attention in the comments. If there's something that you really want me to see during this live stream, just put GF in the chat box along with your comment, and that will help me to be able to see that stuff. And of course, Autumn, who's one of our amazing moderators, she's already on it, right? If you have a question or comment, put GF in your comment. Autumn knows what's up. Thank you, Autumn. Okay, so I'm going to take you over to Acrobat here, and I want to go over, I have 3 files to go over. This is actually the third one that we're going to go through. I'm going to do them in chronological order. The first one is from Detective Hunt. This is a incident report that was filed on the 27th of February. So the interviews that happened in this one happened basically the day after she went missing. This one from Deputy or Detective Jeffrey Payne. I'm not sure. It doesn't say what his rank is. That one from March 1st, and then we have one from Detective Brittany Bradshaw from the 4th of March. And again, these were all released to, this was released to the press from the 9th District State's Attorney's Office. Let's see. Sherry, if you're asking how do you join Patreon, there is a link to Patreon down below. You can click on that. If you're talking about joining my channel, then if you're on an iOS device, there isn't a way to do it. You have to do it on a desktop or through an Android. There's a little join button. Thanks for that question. Okay, so I hope it doesn't bother you guys too much, but what I did is I highlighted the stuff that I highlighted it in like an orangey color. And you guys are like, is that orange, Gavin? Well, I am severely colorblind, so I don't know what this color is really, but this is the highlight color of the things that I wanted to share with you guys. These are interviews with people who knew Maddie, they knew Jen, they knew Stephan, all or some or one. Okay. So let's start out. So on the 27th of February at what is that, 9:40 p.m. And of course, this is heavily redacted, so we're going to make some assumptions as far as names and so forth here, but we're going to kind of go through this, okay? Okay, so that night, the 27th, Redacted identified herself as Jennifer's roommate, Jennifer being Jen Soto, right? She and her 15-year-old son have a room in the home. She last saw Madeline on the afternoon of Sunday, February 25th at approximately 12:30 p.m. She did not see Madeline return to the home because she was already in bed by 8:45 p.m. Further, she did not see Madeline leaving the home as she always leaves by 7:45 a.m. Now, I've got an amazing moderator that you guys see from time to time. We're just going to call her Bree. It's like Gothic Breen X, something like that. Anyway, she has given me a little information over on the fish tank about the apartment building. It kind of seems, or it seemed to me anyway, from the interviews, the videos that we've seen, everything, that this is like a little apartment. But really, this is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath place. And from what I understand, it is owned by Jennifer's parents. And she is allowed to live there. And sometimes they will take that privilege away and say, hey, we're going to sell it, depending on how she was behaving. But she also, in order to earn some money, had roommates that would lease a room. Okay. It's kind of a strange living situation, but that's the way it was. Okay. Stephan was staying in the home for approximately 6 months. However, he moved out of the home 3 to 4 months prior. Stephan and Jennifer broke up, but still agreed to live with one another until he left. Stephan and Jennifer have been together for 5 or 6 years. Redacted did not see Stephan at all until the afternoon of Monday, February 26th, and does not believe he arrived at the home until the night of February 25th. Remember, February 25th is Sunday, February 26th is Monday. It's early morning that he says that she got up and he took her to school. Of course, if we believe the evidence that has been released, which I do, then we think that, of course, that's all bunk, right? All right. Redacted did not share any concerns about any activities in the home. However, she did share that I think it's Jennifer sometimes has trouble regulating her emotions. That could be either Jennifer or Madeline. I think it's probably Jennifer. But actually, judging by the length of them, maybe that's Madeline. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's the roommate. Okay, 2 days later at 1:18 in the afternoon. So now we are, what is that? We are Thursday, right? Redacted identified herself as a science teacher at the school that Madeline went to. He or she, it's she, I guess. She is familiar with Madeline as she is a student in one of her classes. Madeline has been her student for approximately 6 months. In class, Madeline is typically quiet, reserved, and often loses focus. Madeline frequently states she is not feeling well and has to go to the school nurse. Madeline started the year in this teacher's 3rd period science class, but was recently moved into 6th period science due to issues in another class she was having. Although Madeline's grades have always been D's and F's, since moving into the new period at the beginning of the year, Madeline has only turned in 1 or 2 assignments. And guys, I've shared with you that I think I need to drop my chair a little bit here. I think that this is a red flag. Um, a child, a 13-year-old, it's certainly not uncommon for a child to get D's and F's. But I mean, I do think that in the totality of the circumstances that we're seeing, that this is a red flag. She's not turning in assignments. She's getting low grades. And I remember I've shared with you guys when I was in middle school, I had this whole thing where I got sick over losing my backpack with all my books in it. And, you know, I wasn't dealing with anything other than the embarrassment and I guess it was just the embarrassment of doing such a thing, but it still caused me to kind of shut down, right? And when I'm reading that she has always had D's and F's, but she's only turned in a couple of assignments, to me, that is a red flag that something is wrong at home. And I really wonder what, you know, people who work in the teaching profession, teachers in short, think about students that are having these sorts of problems. Okay, continuing. Although Madeline is frequently withdrawn and quiet, the teacher never attributed any of her behavior to being sad or depressed, but rather explained it is common of students who struggle with learning to be slightly withdrawn. Okay, so this teacher was going, she just has a learning disability, and that's why she's not doing well. On January 22nd of 2024, the teacher noticed that Madeline had been more tired since moving into her 6th period class, and so she sent a message to, I think that must be Jennifer, to notify her. Jennifer responded, that's my guess, that Madeline did not take her medication that day, and that was the reason for her behavior. However, I think the teacher noted the tiredness extended beyond just that day. Madeline has never made any comments of, any threat that she might do something to herself or other students. So that is the science teacher's comments. Yeah, I'm seeing this comment right here. I have I will turn up my microphone just a little bit more, but it clips if I go too loud. So I'm going to turn that up just a little bit more. Okay, let's see. Next interview I want to go over is the same day. It looks like 30 minutes later, 35 minutes later. Okay. Redacted identified herself as a math teacher at the school and is familiar with Madeline as she is a student in one of her classes. Madeline is typically very quiet in class, frequently has to be reminded to pay attention as she is known to lose focus. Madeline is normally very reserved and receptive to redirection. I'm going to come back to that. In the week prior to going missing, Madeline appeared to be more easily agitated, retorting with a negative attitude when she had to be redirected. So remember the timeline of events here. Stephan Stearns had been gone, apparently visiting his parents, and he returned kind of a few days prior to Madeline going missing. Right. Well, or like the day before. I can't remember the timeline exactly, but he had been gone away. And then and Madeline still had a hard time with focus, but she was receptive to redirection. But in the week prior to her going missing, and I think that might either be that Stephan had returned home or she knew that Stephan was going to return home. but in the week prior to her going missing, she appeared to be more easily agitated, retorting with negative attitude when she had to be redirected. I think that that is a clear indication that she was like, this is an understatement, but she was stressed out about the fact that Stephan was returning. And that to me, I mean, it's got to be really, really hard to be a teacher anyway. But you just have to wonder what is going on in the lives of your students, right? It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough. Let's see what if there are a couple of questions here. Laura Gepner says, Gavin, Jen's parents threatened Jen about the apartment. Jen threatened Maddie to disown her and throw her out. The very similar, don't you think? I mean, yeah, sort of. I think that Jennifer is just like mentally ill. I think that she is unequipped to adult. That's what I think. And I think that an indication that she is mentally ill is her choice of a partner. I mean, this guy, if you go to like his Reddit threads and stuff like that, beyond the stuff that he did on the websites where he shared disgusting stuff, if you go to his Reddit threads, man, he is a child. He's just a child. He likes Tamagotchi. He likes to paint little figurines. And I'm not saying everybody who likes to paint figurines or everybody who likes Tamagotchi is a child. But in totality, as I read through all of that, it just seemed like, man, this guy has Peter Pan syndrome. He never grew up. And so I don't know if Jen's parents threatening to sell the apartment really is a good comparison to Jen threatening to throw out Maddie. I think Jen was envious of Maddie. And this is sick, I know. But I think that Jen was like envious or jealous that Maddie had and I'm using air quotes here, guys, relationship with her boyfriend. And that's where I think her going, I'm going to kick you out as soon as you turn 18. That is somebody who's not mentally all together, somebody who's very envious, somebody who would just say hurtful things to their child out of that rage stemming from that envy. And again, this is all just my opinion. Her parents threatening to sell the apartment or the condo, whatever it is, that was over Stephan. They did not like him. That's what I understand. They thought he was bad news for her. They thought he was bad news for Madeline, which of course he was. And they were trying to get her to shape up. And so I think it's a little different, but I appreciate your comment. GF, I'd be calling home if that was the case after I spoke to the student. Yeah, I wonder how teachers do, like if I can just extend a little bit of grace. Here's a good example. We have 2 children, 2 of our 5 children have chronic diseases. One has diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and the other has celiac disease, which is actually pretty typical for a celiac to be diabetic and a diabetic to have celiac. So what do we call that? The diagnosis of celiac disease in our daughter, we didn't see it all. We didn't see it at all. Like, she was eating, she was happy, and she was just small, but we had a daughter who was kind of on the small side before, so we didn't see it. And I had her teacher approach me when I was picking her up from school going, Caroline doesn't appear to be growing at the same rate as the rest of the children. And I full on, like this teacher, I love her, and I was glad that she was comfortable talking to me about that. But I kind of brushed it off. And it wasn't until later that our daughter was hospitalized, and her body was just so malnourished because of the celiac disease that she got an infection that was life-threatening. So anyway, I wonder what the position of those teachers are if they dread those kinds of conversations. You know, I'm not saying that that's a good reason not to have those conversations, but I'm trying to just kind of extend a little grace to the teachers in Madeline's life. I'm sure that they are grieving now for sure. Patty says, Gavin, if her grades have always been D's and F's, the teacher should have said or done something a long time ago. Yeah, and I know in another document that we looked at last week, Madeline had been put into like an IEP, right? She needed help. So I do think that they were doing that. But, sometimes, again, Patty, like going back to my experience in 7th grade, like I was a bright kid. I was put into advanced placement, everything. And I was doing really, really well. And yet for like 2 months out of my 7th grade year over something as stupid as losing my backpack, which my friend had picked up and was just waiting to give it to me the next time he saw me on the bus. I was in the D's and F's. So I don't know. I don't know if that's really a good argument against what you're saying. It's just kind of, it's a hard position to be in, I think, with teachers. Unknown Reno says, this is such a nice space versus getting yelled at or made fun of by reuse. Oh, well, I'm glad that you have found us, Unknown Reno. Thank you very much. And I'm glad that you can hear me now, Triple S. Let's see. Mark Bernard says, Gavin, Maddie had an IEP and her case manager would be an interesting person to speak with. Teachers are very aware and sensitive to unusual changes in students and behavior. Mark, thank you very much for that comment. That actually reminds me, if I can just redirect us for a second, if we go over to my website, you guys can click on this little fishy icon up in the top corner, and that will take you to the fish tank over on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, I invite you to join us here in the fish tank. We've got about 1,600 members. But I posted something earlier today asking for members of the fish tank if they would like to work with me to try to get to book guests on the channel. I would deeply appreciate that. So head on over to the fish tank, find this post from about an hour ago, and click on the link. I have it in the post. I also have it in the comments. Okay, so I just thanks for that, Bernard, and I would love to talk with her case manager. I'm sure that there's some, I don't know, like school version of HIPAA, right? Some privacy law, but it would be terrific to talk to people in and around this case. And if any of you have connections with family members or people surrounding cases that I cover, like Madeline Soto, like Micah Miller, Suzanne Morphew, Rex Hewerman, those kinds of things, I would love your help. Thank you very much. Mooney, my oldest has celiacs, but went undiagnosed for so long. Yeah, I think our daughter was undiagnosed for about a year. It's tough. Unknown Reno, I don't know. That question has come up a couple of times. I was probably a little naive in the beginning when I found out about the 1,700 files, the photos and videos and so forth that Stephan Stearns had on Google Drive. I was naive and kind of thought, well, that was just his storage facility for the stuff that he liked to look at. But I mean, it took somebody's comment to wake me up a little bit. But yeah, it's very easy to share out of a Google Drive. It would not surprise me at all, but I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, one more before we go into the next document. Bree says, Gavin, did you notice how early on Jennifer Soto mentioned Madeline had ADHD and showed symptoms of autism, but there was no mention of asthma, and the teacher mentioned walking her to get her inhaler in the locker? I hadn't made that connection, Bree. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up. And I think that's one of the documents that we're going to cover. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's go over here real quick. This is Deputy or Detective Payne's incident report from March 1st. And I'm just going to scroll down. There's a lot redacted. Okay. Basically, this report is all interviews. Okay. So here's an interview with a 25-year-old redacted. On February 29th, 2024 at 1:10 p.m., I conducted a digitally recorded sworn interview with redacted in a portable classroom at the school. The following is a synopsis of her statement. She is Madeline's second period PE teacher. She told me that she knew Madeline pretty well and that they had some interactions. She stated that Madeline hangs out with a redacted name most in class, but that she also sees somebody else. And then full-on redacted is in the class but has another assigned PE teacher. She told me that she has never had issues with Madeline. She told, again, this is Deputy Payne, that Madeline always seemed very anxious. And anytime she needed to ask or wanted something, she brought a buddy with her. Like, she did not ever want to be alone. She did the buddy system. Doesn't that kind of feel like she knows what dangerous is? And unfortunately for Maddie, she didn't have a buddy at home. Oh my goodness. Maddie, this little forever 13-year-old girl, should have had a buddy watching out for her. She did not. She recalled how Madeline was shy around authority figures, but not everybody. She told me that Madeline got Student of the Week for February 16th and was nominated by someone for doing something excellent, but not sure exactly what she did. She recalled during a let's see. This is a female teacher. Okay, she recalled during a fitness testing at the beginning of the year, Madeline struggled because of her asthma. This is Bree's comment, right? She walked with a buddy to her locker so she could get her inhaler and told her that she was able to sit out if she needed to. It seems like walked with a teacher. I don't know. Teacher recalled how occasionally her friends would tell her that Madeline needed to go to the counselor and she would go with friends. She didn't know why Madeline needed to go to the counselor. The teacher had not seen any recent changes in behavior. Let me just pause there because that was a very good comment, right? Like, anytime, if she was, it wasn't just Jen, it was also Stephan in his recorded interview when they asked, does she have any medical conditions? The inhaler wasn't brought up to my memory. It was ADHD. And that was all it was. That's a very good comment, Bree. Okay, the teacher had not seen any recent changes in behavior. When she heard the description of Madeline's clothing, she recognized it as something she always wears. She did not see any signs of depression or any inclinations that she might do some kind of harm to herself. Madeline does not dress out in class, but she is not sure why. I think that is, that one had not occurred to me. I haven't thought about this for years, not since I was in middle school and high school, right? When we went to our PE classes, we would go to the locker room and change clothes. In my middle school and my high school, we had uniforms that we were required to dress in. I graduated high school over 30 years ago, so I don't know how it is now, But it does seem from what this is saying that Madeline did not dress out in class, so she did not change her clothes for class. Maybe that has something to do with insecurities about changing clothing in front of others brought upon by the evil and disgusting, sickening abuses that were perpetrated against her by this guy, allegedly. Like, if we believe the police, which I do, right? I had not made that connection when I read that the first time. Teacher told me that many kids do not change out because they feel uncomfortable, but they still participate. She told me that Madeline had a locker previously and that SRO blank asked her to check it and she did not find a lock on it or any items in it. The teacher told the deputy that children will get pulled from her class for various other things like tutoring, and she believes Madeline was pulled for MTSS intervention with, I'm guessing, another, a counselor or something earlier in the year. The PE teacher stressed that Madeline always seemed anxious, and she did not think it was normal for Madeline to want to go away on her own since she always needed somebody with her. That is an astute observation, right? That I'm sure by the time the 29th came along and there were just all sorts of rumors floating all over the place, I'm sure by that time everybody had heard that Madeline wanted to go live in the woods. And this teacher's like, I don't think Madeline would want to go off and live on her own. She needs a buddy everywhere she goes. That is an astute observation, a very, very good observation. Let's see. She told me that she met Madeline's mother once earlier in the year that when she was a substitute for another PE teacher. So that is the PE teacher. Lots of red flags here, guys, right? On February 29th at 13:39, so this is 29 minutes later, I conducted a digitally recorded sworn interview with Redacted in a portable classroom at the school. Redacted told me that Madeline is in her first period intensive reading class. She thought she knew Madeline pretty well since she had been in her class since the fall of 2023. She told me that Madeline was on her door decorating team, which she nominated Madeline for Student of the Week for. So this is the excellent thing that she did. And this is something that, lots of teachers try to do in order, especially with kids that aren't doing so well. See if we can find something that she does really, really great and then point it out, give her a reward for it. Maybe we can see more great things out of her. I just want to bring this to your attention. You guys can get my attention if you want me to read your comment by putting GF in the comment. Okay, so it was the door, wrong button. It was the door decorating. Okay. She told me how Madeline, Redacted, and other students would stay late or come early to work on the project in the end of January. Yeah, she told me that the theme of the door was spreading kindness and love. Oh my goodness, the tragic irony there. She did not have any individual conversations with Madeline and said that Madeline's involvement in door decorating was the closest they were. She believes that Madeline is also friends with a redacted name, not just another redacted name. Wow, I should have redacted that out. Is an 8th grade student helper in the same period, and she was not sure if she was close with Madeline. She said she is aware of what happened from the Orange County Sheriff's Office media release. She recalled how Madeline was reading a graphic novel, and Madeline was alarmed that kissing was in the book. That might just be partly of her age, right? But it also could be that she had experienced so much trauma at the hands of this dillhole that she just wasn't comfortable reading about kissing. Additionally, she told me that she heard Madeline and her friends talking about a Lady Gaga lyric, and they were alarmed about its sexual meaning. Again, Madeline would know better than anyone. She would be more sensitive, I think, to sexual content. She said that Madeline did not make any disclosures regarding any kind of abuse. She did not believe that Madeline's mother came to open house, nor had they ever met. And my understanding is that Jen just had lots of anxiety. She worked from home. She was on disability. She kept enough of a job that she got extra income, but not enough of a job to endanger her disability payments, right? So, yeah. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. She did not see any signs of depression or ideation that she might be a harm to herself in Madeline. She told me she was shocked to hear about Madeline's conversation about living in the woods. She stated that Madeline's grade was low in her class and said that she has a D in every quarter. She stated Madeline would work in class, but she was not able to follow things through to completion. She had not seen any shifts in Madeline's behavior, but believed that Madeline's behavior had improved since the door decorating competition. So she had been, what is that called when, why am I blanking on words so much, guys? It drives me absolute. Her good behavior had been reinforced. The whole, she would work in class, but was not able to follow things through to completion. So I would imagine that she probably didn't feel safe at home to do homework, right? That's probably what is meant by that. Okay, interview of 33-year-old, 2:19 p.m. same day. Detective Payne or Deputy Payne conducted a digitally sworn interview with redacted in a portable classroom at this school. The following is a synopsis. Blank told me that Madeline is in his 7th period English class and has been in there since fall of 2023. He told me he has had a great relationship with Madeline and he thinks she likes him. He described Madeline as quieter, who sometimes does her work. Madeline has sleepy days where she comes in and puts her head down and does nothing, which he said not a lot of kids do. He told me that he keeps academic tabs on Madeline and said that they only had conversations about her grades. He said that they never had any conversations about Madeline's home life, and he did not meet her parents, even though Madeline's mother was a substitute for him in October of 2023. He had not seen any recent changes in Madeline's behavior. He noted Madeline seemed to have had as many sleepy days at the beginning of the year. Seemed not to have had as many sleepy days at the beginning of the year. Again, Stearns was out of the picture, right? He told me that he saw Madeline fatigued, which he believed may have been a sign of depression, but he did not see anything more overt, nor did he see any signs of any inclinations that she might harm herself from Madeline. He told me that Madeline's grade was rough, but then she brought them up. He said on Friday, February 23rd, he said that she will go through phases where she would not turn anything in. He had not noted any shifts in behavior and recalled how he bid that class farewell on Friday, February 23rd, and she said that she would see him on Monday. He stated that a student came up to him and told him she wanted to live in the woods when she turned 13. He told me that Madeline seemed normal but quiet and tired. Well, I would imagine that the things that Madeline was suffering at the hand of somebody who she should have been able to trust to take care of her was probably a very good reason why she wasn't sleeping. Wow, so many red flags here, guys. Okay, a couple more. Interview with 13-year-old. redacted. So this would be a friend. We've gone through all the teachers. Now we're going to do friends. Hang on a second. Okay. Same day at about 3:11 p.m., I conducted a digitally recorded sworn interview with redacted, we'll say friend, in a conference room, probably at the school. Before speaking on the incident, I qualified that friend understood the difference between telling the truth and lying, which she did. The following is a synopsis of her statement. Friend told me that she met Madeline last year when they were in the 6th grade, where they shared one class together. Friend stated that she and Madeline have 3 classes together currently, and they have become better friends. She told me that she and Madeline would know, that I would say friend 2 and friend 3 would know Madeline the best, as they were her best friends. She recalled how Madeline would come to school crying and complaining about her mother. Other times, Madeline would cry and she would say that she just wanted to cry. She did not note any changes in Madeline's behavior, and Madeline did not talk with her about any type of self-harm or depression. She stated that Madeline would occasionally be mean to her, and when she asked her why, she said it was because that's how she shows affection. That sounds like a learned behavior to me, guys. That sounds like a sentence that is learned. She stated that Madeline's mother threatened to kick her out. Additionally, Madeline did not like her father. She stated that she did not hear Madeline speak about her mother's boyfriend. She continued to say that Madeline and her did not ever talk about sex, but they talked about crushes, including Madeline's current interest, and I would imagine that is a boy's name. She was upset during the interview and was crying because she just kind of missed her. Remember, at this point, Madeline was just missing. Everybody was holding out hope that she would be found. Okay, interview with a 12-year-old on February 29th, 1532, so 3:30, conducted this interview. Before speaking on the incident, I qualified that they understood the difference between telling the truth of lying, which she did. Here's a synopsis of her statement. She told me that she recently became close friends with Madeline and that they share 2 classes in common. She stated that 2 other friends would know Madeline best, and they both told her things about Madeline, including her mention of wanting to run away when she was 13 years old and to build a house in the woods. She recalled how Madeline would seem pretty sad sometimes, though she noted that other times she seemed happy, particularly at school. I imagine school felt like a respite from home. She did not note any behavioral changes, nor did she discuss depression or the big S word there. Okay, interview with a 13-year-old. This one might be the last one of this document. Okay. So at 4:15 the following day, spoke with a 13-year-old girl at her residence, qualified the whole difference between truth and lying thing. Okay, she stated that she has known Madeline, who she calls probably Maddie, since 4th grade. She described Maddie as her best friend and said they shared everything together. She told me that Madeline and her mother would frequently fight. She described Madeline's mother as bipolar. Additionally, she described Madeline as bipolar in her behavior and that she was taking unknown medication for ADHD. She told me that Madeline stopped taking her medication on Valentine's Day. For an unknown reason, I guess. She described Madeline as nice, funny, and caring on her medication, but snappy when she is off medication. I wonder how much that medication is needed. I mean, obviously here, Gavin, but was it a genetic thing, or was it that she was just in like this lion's den her whole life fighting for survival, that she was diagnosed with ADHD? She told me she did not notice Maddie going through a depressive phase, but that Maddie said that she was going through one earlier in the year. Additionally, Maddie did not show any interest in wanting to hurt herself or anyone else. She stated that Maddie was upset at her birthday party because she advertised it well, but that not many people showed up, nor did many bring presents. She recalled how Maddie had a crush on Redacted in school and that she asked him for his phone number. She told me that Maddie would try to talk to him more over the phone, but that he did not respond. She told me Maddie had 2 previous boyfriends. Redacted, who was expelled for breaking another child's elbow, and then this other person. She described both relationships as over distance and a lot of texting. She told me she was not allowed to have social media, but that Maddie's YouTube channel was such and such, which she showed me. Additionally, she showed me Maddie's Discord account. She emphasized that Maddie's mention of living in the woods was only if World War III were to happen. She stated that she did not ever notice any bruising on Maddie, but noted how she occasionally came to school with red makeup on, which made it look like she was crying. She told me that she got to Maddie's every weekend. It's written weird. I can't tell exactly, but she did not ever stay the night because of her parents' own rules. She told me that she met Stephan on one occasion, even though he and Maddie's mother had been together her entire life. She stated that he recently moved out of the residence for an unknown reason, and when she asked Maddie why, she ignored the question. She told me that Maddie and Stephan were very close and that they would communicate frequently. Whenever she asked Maddie about it, she said that they just had a close relationship. She told me that she received 2 pictures of Stephan that Maddie had sent her. She described them as screenshots that Maddie appeared to have taken during a time when they were FaceTiming. However, she was not able to locate the photos. She told me that Maddie typically got her menstrual cycle 2 days before she did, except for last month when Maddie got hers a week or 2 after she got hers. She told me that they did not have a conversation as to why her menstrual cycle was late. She believed Maddie was a virgin, and she did not ever see or hear anything to the contrary. She stated that Maddie's mother was never freaking out, and she thought that it was weird that she said that she dropped Maddie off at school when initially Stephan said that he did. She was shocked when she saw the news about Stephan's arrest, though she said that the thought crossed her mind once Maddie had gone missing. She noted how she would always receive messages in the morning from Maddie, but she did not on Monday, February 26, which alarmed her. She said that even when Maddie would oversleep, she would still receive messages. She thought something had happened once she had not received anything from Maddie. Those are the interviews of the kids. Let's go to your comments here real quick. Courtney says, Gavin, it's telling that she was failing all these classes and had a teacher reach out with concern, but her mother wasn't doing anything to get her help besides giving her medication. Gavin, perhaps unconfident and uncomfortable with an adult. Yeah. The adults in her life, other than like her extended family, seem to be abusers, right? Charlene says, Gavin, I guess that's why she always wore shorts so she didn't have to dress for PE. Yeah, that maybe that's the deal. She-Elf says, Gavin, I failed PE because I never dressed out, but I was not abused, just rebelling. Well, I get that. I've never been a person who liked to do things because I was told to do them. So I totally understand that one. Nick asks, or says, Gavin, I wonder if she actually had asthma or if it was an excuse given by her mom so she didn't have to participate in gym class. Did Maddie have physical manifestations of abuse? So far, we haven't seen any physical manifestations. I would imagine that the medical examiner or the pathologist that examined her would be able to see them, and they would be on the autopsy, though, of course, we all know why we're not seeing that. We'll probably only ever see that if it goes to trial. Nifty 50. Do you think Stearns will use that info to validate when he said Maddie did not like to be alone and that is why he had to cuddle with her? The whole needing a buddy thing? Yeah, maybe. Gracie says, Gavin, this case is crazy. And sad. Gavin, I wonder if she went early and stayed late because she didn't want to be alone with that monster. That was the first thing I thought after reading that sentence, Sherry. Yeah. Kelly says, Jen wasn't working much at all, so her comment about not being able to make it to the party has always been the biggest red flag for me. Yeah, I understand that she wasn't working much. She was working as like a party planner for Disney, but it was a very, very part-time job from home. Michelle says, the dog leash comment from Jen has been bothering me. Then I saw that law enforcement took a dog leash seatbelt into evidence from Stephan's car. That's an incredibly unsettling thought. You know what, Michelle? I don't remember the dog leash comment. Please remind me. MBW, Gavin, remember how Jen said that she talked to Maddie about the party and how Maddie loved her gifts? Her friends says the opposite. Jen lied. Yeah, the story is different depending on who you ask, for sure. Unknown Reno, what can the mother potentially be charged with? Man, that is a terrific question. And I have friends who are currently prosecutors, and so they're unable to come on and talk about this sort of thing for ethical reasons. And I'm a lay person, but I honestly think that there's plenty that she can be charged with, including maybe at least accessory before and after the crime. It could be that she could get a second-degree murder charge. There's a lot that she could be charged with depending on what the facts are that we don't know. Patty says the last part of the last interview was sad. Maddie's best friend didn't get a text from her on that Monday morning. Yeah, I think Maddie was gone Sunday night. That's what I think. And I think they spent the entire night trying to figure out what to do about it. Melodic says, Gavin, don't you think the agitation had something to do with her going off her meds February 14th? She was probably feeling real emotions for the first time in a long time, off drugs. Not so much to do with SS. That's possible. Yeah, and a good observation. Thank you. And then PJ says, thank you, Gavin, for gathering the documents, for your time diving into the mess. I am happy to do so. Let's continue to my third document before we go too long here. This one's a little shorter, okay? This is from Detective Brittany Bradshaw from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. And this is an interview with Maddie's best friend. And then, so there are 3 interviews here that I want to read. Okay. So interview at 1:05 p.m., the day after Maddie went missing. Redacted is the best friend of Madeline, also known as Maddie, and they've known each other since they were in 4th grade. She is also close with Maddie's mother, Jen. Maddie has never told her anything about running away, other than if she did, she would run away to the woods and find a place to stay. Maddie told her she didn't get along with her mom. She had heard from another friend that Maddie's mom told her she was going to kick her out of the house and disown her when she turned 18 or 19. Which is a horrible, horrible thing to say to a 13-year-old child. It's a horrible thing to say it's a horrible thing. She talked to Maddie every day on the phone, and Maddie would also text her every morning when she woke up. She thought it was odd that she did not receive a text from Maddie on Monday, the 26th. When she called Maddie on the morning of the 26th, there was no answer. She further stated Maddie only mentioned her biological father briefly, but she was always on a call with her stepdad, Stephan. Stephan and Maddie were always texting each other or talking on the phone. Maddie loved him, and they were really close. Stephan is Maddie's mom's boyfriend, and he has been in her life for a long period of time. Stephan recently moved out of the home, but still visits often. Stephan and Maddie's mom were also very close. Maddie talks to Stephan at least 2 to 3 times a week on the phone, but also texts with him. She usually talks to him on the phone in the afternoon, night. She describes Stephan as very interested in Maddie, and Maddie would tell him about things going on at school. Maddie never disclosed to her anything inappropriate that Stephan said or did, and she has never witnessed anything inappropriate between Maddie and Stephan. Normally, Maddie's mom or grandparents bring her to school. She does not recall a time when Stephan has ever brought Maddie to school. She stated there are roommates that also live in the house with Maddie and her mother. She believes it is people who are close to their family but don't have enough money to live on their own. Last time she talked to Maddie was on Sunday, the 25th, at her birthday party. The party took place at Maddie's grandparents' home. Neither Maddie's mom nor her mom's boyfriend were in attendance at the birthday party. It was also common for Maddie to talk about getting money for her birthday. Maddie got mad at her for not giving her any money for her birthday and complained because she didn't get enough money for her birthday. She left the party at approximately 7 p.m. and did not verbally speak with Maddie again. She stated Maddie does not miss school often, but is sick a lot. Once they were at something, Maddie told her it would be cool if they ran into the woods and built a house. So it wasn't like she wanted to run into the woods and build a house. She wanted to do it with a friend. Maddie has never told her that she truly wanted to run away, but did mention she wanted to get her own house when she was older. Maddie has never tried or threatened to harm herself, nor does she ever talk about anyone harming themselves. She stated Maddie allegedly told their mutual friend, redacted, that when she turns 13, she was going to leave the house and never come back. Maddie also communicates with her sister and father, who are living in Washington, D.C. She believes Maddie is close with her sister. Maddie also talks to different random people through Roblox. She is unaware if Maddie has ever met up with any of the strangers she speaks with. She's also unaware if Maddie has ever engaged in any inappropriate conversations with older men or older women. Maddie has never disclosed anything about sending or receiving inappropriate photos. Here's her Roblox username. She has an Instagram, but she does not know her username. Maddie also has a YouTube Shorts account under this username. On her YouTube account, she'll post videos of her dancing with her face covered. Maddie planned on showing her face on her YouTube account once she reached 200 subscribers. She stated when they would text each other, it was through a normal text messages on their iPhone. She's unaware if Maddie had any texting applications on her phone. Maddie did not have a boyfriend, but a crush named Redacted that goes to the school with him. She claims that he does not like Maddie and ignores her text messages. They also do not hang out with each other. Maddie did not disclose that she wanted to skip school on February 26th and has not asked her to skip school with her. She only knows that Maddie takes medication for ADHD and possibly bipolar disorder. She described Maddie as impulsive, having mood swings and symptoms of bipolar disorder. Maddie last took her medication on February 14th and would tell everyone about not taking them. Maddie told her she liked not being on the medication because she has more energy when she doesn't take it. She is not aware of Maddie participating in any risky or inappropriate behaviors for her age. She does not know of Maddie hanging out with anyone older outside of school or running away with anyone. She only knows Maddie is close with her stepdad and talks with him a lot. That is haunting to me. She stated Maddie's mother called her during the evening of February 26th and asked her if she was with Maddie because Maddie was missing. Maddie's mother also told her she last saw Maddie at 8:45 a.m. when she dropped her off at the church near the school. This is one of those things where, the lies kind of are coming out. She said she dropped her off at the church because Maddie wanted to walk to school, which is unusual. And to me, that is an indication that she is in on the cover-up of the murder. Maddie is typically dropped off in the car line. She stated her father went into the woods behind the school during the evening of the 26th in an attempt to locate Maddie, but was unsuccessful. All right. 2 more. Interview with so-and-so, February 29th. Redacted said she is in the 7th grade school counselor at the school. She met Maddie at the beginning of the school year when she was being transferred over to the ESE service department, which we learned is Maddie was going to get an IEP, right? She needed help in school. She was told she has ADHD, has a hard time focusing. She also has anxiety and panic attacks. She would conduct check-ins with Maddie at school and has met with her approximately 6 times since the beginning of the school year. Typically, Maddie will come to her with feelings of panic and being overwhelmed. When she asks Maddie what's going on, she will tell her it's anxiety and she's overstimulated from being at school. Maddie has also said she's dealing with things at home, including fighting with her mom. Mom would get upset because Maddie is forgetful. I don't think that's the only thing Mom was upset about. And doesn't like to clean up as she is expected to. She disclosed when Mom yells at her, it makes her feel overstimulated, and then she can't respond the way she wants to. She stated they discussed strategies on how to calm herself down and talk to Mom when she's calm and how she's feeling. At each of their check-ins during December, January, and February, Maddie reported things were improving at home and things were better at school. Of course, Stephan was gone at this time. Maddie reported that her mom's boyfriend was living in the home and she didn't like it because it was weird as he came home. When she pressed Maddie about why she felt he was weird, she claimed it was because he ate all their food, hangs out in their living room, and makes her feel uncomfortable. Maddie reported in December that Mom's boyfriend was moving out of the home, and that made her happy. Maddie never disclosed having depression or any thoughts of harming herself. Maddie never disclosed any relationship dynamics between her mom and her mom's boyfriend. She also never disclosed anything inappropriate happening between her and her mother's boyfriend. Maddie's mom told her that Maddie was seeing a therapist weekly. Maddie's grades appeared to be stable and seemed to be improving since December, when Stephan left. When she started to report things were getting better at home and at school. Their last check-in was February 6th, and Maddie reported that she was really happy and things were good with Mom and at school. All right, and then the last one is the same day. Redacted stated he is so-and-so. He stated Maddie never discussed her home life or personal life with him. She has never disclosed any information about physical, sexual, or mental abuse. She never expressed any thoughts or feelings of harming herself. Maddie did not have any changes in her behavior. She appeared to be happy, would participate in class. So I'm guessing this is a teacher. He described her as normal and helpful. There hasn't been any change with Maddie since the beginning of the school year. Those are the interviews I wanted to share with you. Let's see about your comments. Gavin, I would love to have her do a lie detector test. Indeed. Mike says, if Jen Soto has all these psychological and mental problems, it would be hard to convict her in court. If she's on disability, that stuff is well documented and will help her out. Yeah, it's possible. I don't think we get Jennifer Soto to do a lie detector test. I think that if police want her to do a polygraph, they will ask her to do so. GF, does Maddie instigate the constant texting, or did Stephan just constantly get into her business? That's a good question. Don't know. Do not know. That's a good place to end, guys. I think, the title of this video is about red flags, right? Red flags. And I think that going through all of these interviews, we have shown red flags in abundance. Red flags aplenty, red flags galore, right? In totality, it's pretty obvious for us as Monday morning quarterbacks to be able to say, yeah, look at all these problems. But I do want to give a little bit of grace to the teachers and friends in her life who were just kind of part of the story. And And this is an age, man, 13 years old is an age where children are going through lots of changes, and it's a lot of them are having issues, right? So I just want to extend grace where it's due. I do not think any grace is due here or here, especially here. But for everybody else, I want to extend that grace. Before we go, let me just remind you guys that you can find all these documents on my website, gavinfish.com. I've got a link to them down below. It's my patrons who have full and unfettered access to them. If you would like to support me on Patreon, that also gives you that access to them. But if you're not a patron of mine, that's why we do these videos. I'm happy to share this stuff with you guys. If you do want to support me, or especially my mods, go to my website, click on support. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, you can buy Autumn and Jamie a coffee. I would love it if you would do that. And then the last thing, I just want to remind you, if you would like to help us in, booking guests on the channel, please join us over on the fish tank and hop into that chat with us. And we will hopefully get a group of us together that can book some good guests for the channel. I would love to have people like Michael Francis on, for example, Micah Miller's dad. I would love to have roommates of Jen Soto's on. I would love to have anybody who knew anything around Long Island serial killer, Suzanne Morphew case, any other case that is in the public zeitgeist. I would love to talk to people. I know that it's hard for a lot of them to do that. For example, I know that Josh and Sandy Greenberg have been doing depositions this week. It's very, very difficult as family members and loved ones of people who are victims of these kinds of senseless and violent crimes. But if you know any that need a little help getting the message out, please join us over there in the fish tank, and maybe we can together get some more people to join us, because we've had some terrific guests, man. John Ray, we've had Sean McDonough, we've had Dr. Gruwell, we've had Dr. Clark, we've had lots of really great people. Tom Brennan, retired investigator Brennan. So yeah, join us over there. With that, guys, thank you for joining me today. I bid you adieu. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.